The incredible story of Blanche Monnier, imprisoned for 25 years in a room by her mother, because men fell in love with her. Blanche Monnier, known for her striking beauty, had one of the most unbelievable and tragic life stories. She was French, born on March 1, 1849, in Poitiers, France. At that time, her family was considered quite well off. Her beauty, physical appearance, and personality attracted a lot of attention, and importantly, there were many who wanted to marry her. Her family, of aristocratic status, seemed indifferent to the prospect of her marriage. During her youth in Paris, she caught the attention of many men from high society. When letters began arriving for Blanche, her mother, Louise Monnier,